Good tiding, fellow humans! Today I'm going to be making people's fan art dreams come true. Hopefully that doesn't come as a surprise if you've read the title of the video. However, what exactly do I mean by this? Let me explain. Have you yourself ever posted, or maybe just seen, those group post pictures with names of characters placed on top of them? I'm going to be taking those and drawing the characters in those poses, and thus making the original person's vision/dreams come to life. Because I am doing this with random strangers online without asking their permission, I'll be blacking out the names of the people just in case they don't want to be involved with this video. It's easier to delete posts on social media than to delete sections of YouTube videos. If you want to know more about the lucky strangers, then check out my Tumblr and Pinterest. If they wish to be hidden, I'll repost the artwork without mentioning them. Also, if you came from one of my previous videos, this is my first time using Kpdh instead of Procreate. I'm currently saving up / waiting for Clip Studio Paint to go on sale, so for now, you'll probably see me rocking with Kpdh. Kpdh? Hopefully one of those is right. Before I began collecting images, I had to make sure I could draw a meme replaced by a fictional character. I believe this is called meme redraws, just in case you're interested and want to know more, or if you end up going down the route of making these and want to know how to properly tag your own work. A show that I'm currently in love with and is currently coming out with the second season as of the recording of this video is Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I wanted to make a meme redraw with either Fern or Stark, as Miss Frieren already seems to get enough love, especially with her recent art meme that went viral. I looked through different meme photos and came across this photo and thought, no wait, I couldn't. Well, now I gotta see it. There wasn't really a reason outside of that. These were the photo references I used for drawing Fern. I didn't look up any art tutorials and I sort of just went for it. Maybe that was a mistake, but it seemed to work out for me. I guess if anyone has any advice for if I attempt to do this in the future, the comments would be a great place to make sure I see it. I started off with just tracing parts I thought I'd end up using for the final piece. Then I started outlining the lines that I would end up using. I did my best to match Fern's colors without color picking, as I hear that is a big no-no. Apparently, the colors will never be correct if you color pick, so it's better to just get as close as you can with your eyes.
Look with your special eyes.
My brand!
I don't think I did half bad. So far, throughout my art journey, colors have been the easiest thing. I think it's mostly because while I didn't take any art classes in school, I did take a lot of design courses. For example, I took fashion, floral, and interior design. I might be forgetting a class or two, but the courses I mentioned would often cover color theory. Basically, they cover the color wheel and colors' relations to each other. Thanks to those courses, I'm pretty well versed in general with colors. Here is a freeze frame that made me laugh so hard when I was in the middle of making this artwork. I love this frame so much. The eyes were a little tricky. I still don't love them, but they get the job done. I didn't notice how many colors were in Fern's eyes until I started trying to recreate them. The hardest part though was trying to balance Fern's eyes and the eyes of the meme. I hope I got the job done and viewers of my meme aren't too distracted by the eyes. I blurred the background using Gaussian blur. I'm not sure if there's a better blur tool I should be using. For the finishing touch, I signed my name. I know I want to work on my signature, but I think getting into the habit of signing my works is more important for now. And this is what I came up with. It's not pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It makes me laugh, so I think it does its job. I hope you guys like it as well. Feel free to post it wherever. I know I'll be posting it as a meme reaction. However, little did I know, all this preparation could not prepare me for the horrors about to come. Enough yapping, let's get our first victim. Our first lucky stranger. Our first drawing was in high demand because I actually found two people who posted this. The character of interest for this meme redraw is Zoe from the movie K-pop Demon Hunters. The meme is of the K-pop idol IU holding knives and looking very happy, which is pretty in character for Zoe. The reference I ended up using was a screenshot from the rehearsal stage, as she is in a similar pose as to the meme, and I wanted a toned down outfit that would make sense for her to wear when she first got her knives. This is also the same outfit Zoe wears during the train scene. So this process might not make a lot of sense to you, and it probably doesn't make a lot of sense in general, because in all honesty, I got lost in the sauce on this one. It still does end up with a finished work. I'll try to recap what I did mostly for my own benefit, as I hope to never get this confused while making a piece again. I traced the original image sort of like before, but for some reason this time I traced it with a brush I knew I didn't want to use for the final work. I avoided tracing the knives as I know I want to replace them with the knives Zoe uses throughout the K-pop Demon Hunters movie. However, I think another problem I end up doing here is overtracing. I really didn't need to outline half of the stuff that I did. I'm pretty sure that overtracing came from a place of knowing I'd have to replace a lot of facial features and being unsure what lines I wanted to keep for the final work. I do get to a point where it's time to start doing the line art with lines that will make it into the final form of the piece. I can't help but to reiterate that having lines that I didn't intend to use was completely unnecessary and a waste of time. Future me, please avoid wasting your time like this. I played around with the knife size trying to get them accurate to the movie. It was actually pretty hard to find a good quality moment of Zoe holding her knives. Most of them were distorted with perspective through the tilting of the knives, or it was unclear how far away the knives were from Zoe's body. I consulted a few people and this was the size that they all seemed to agree on. I originally relied heavily on my reference for applying Zoe's facial features. This proved to be a mistake as the expression I was going for was awe/in love, and the reference is giving more annoyed more than anything else. I'll go over how I fix this later. Now you can officially see the pointlessness of all that outlining because I end up doing it all over again without even referencing my sketch outline. I was even planning on doing the line art again with a clean brush, but after realizing how much work that would be, I decided to just keep the line art as is and color in that. I think I had to keep reminding myself not to try too hard and just to have fun with this piece. I tried to simplify the hair into simple shapes and then adjust them. It was a bit of a struggle trying to blend IU, the person depicted in the original meme, and Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters. I outlined with the same color I wanted to use to fill in an area. Then I used the bucket tool for covering said area. I've seen some people bash the bucket tool and I have yet to find out why, so if you have a clue, let me know. Let me in! Let me in! Babes. I'm not sure what I was doing with this one. I started tracing and then I got to the point where I wanted to restart but told myself it's only a meme, it doesn't need to be perfect, so if you've got complaints on how this looks, don't worry, I've got them too. I'm hopeful that this was a valuable learning experience and I won't make the same mistakes again in the future. The fern drawing took me like 2 days. This drawing took me, well, I'm not gonna say how long it took me exactly, but it was more than 7 days. Way past 7 days. 7 days, and this is what I got.
Who would have thought? Not me.
I struggled with the expression as it was pretty unique. I think I'm going to try picking a little bit of an easier one to redraw for the upcoming meme. The solution I landed on for this one was tracing the mouth and nose and then moving them to fit more of Zoe's face structure. I saved the troublesome eyes for later and moved on to the shirt. The shirt was weird with the bucket tool, but eventually I got it colored in. I noticed how Zoe tended to have her teeth showing when making facial expressions in the movie. Her teeth are simple and straight, so I added them quickly before finally tackling the eyes. In the movie, she has an iconic heart look along with Mira, but when I added them, it felt like I was losing a part of what made the meme funny. Looking back, the eyes are a strong focal point of this meme, so I think it was part of the reason why I struggled with them so much. I looked up love expressions and noticed that most of them included eyebrows tilted up towards the middle. Finally, I found this reference where Zoe is looking at a mystery poster and decided I would try to add in those heart eyes while trying to blend them into the meme. I fixed up the teeth as I had quickly done them before. I know that eyes are circular, so I sort of just made them outside of her eye to properly see them and then placed them inside her eyes. Looks kind of strange, but it's what clicked for me at the time. Lastly, I finally had to color in the knives. I know that in the movie they are so pretty and have this almost white outline detailing, but I couldn't get a clear image of the white design, so I ended up just skipping the detailing. I didn't really need it as once again this is just supposed to be a funny picture and it doesn't need to be extremely accurate. I ended up blurring the knife colors together using Gaussian blur and then used the airbrush to give the knives a glow effect. For adding the shadow side, I'm not sure what you would call it, but basically I made a purple layer and then messed with the opacity. Lastly, I blurred the background and signed my name. And ta-da! Wait a minute, I forgot the eyelashes. Well, like I said, ta-da! I'm tired of working on this piece, so please let me rest. Thank you. After the last piece, I made sure to go easy on myself, and I came across this pen on Pinterest. The characters from this one are Hootie and Lilith from the show The Owl House. This is a show I'll definitely always recommend to anyone with taste. The first step was deciding what I wanted to do for the text. For the ones before, I had always had the memes as the background image and just blurred them, but this time it wasn't going to work like that. When I tried to size up the image, the text got blurry, so I just simply used the text tool in Kpdh. I didn't really mess around with the fonts and I just kept it simple. I think in the back of my mind, I wanted to worry about the text later, but I never messed with it again past this point. I used this reference for drawing Hootie. I'm pretty sure some of the line weights are off. For non-artists, that basically means the size of the lines. However, I tried not to stress too much about this because I knew, as per the original meme, he was going to get blurred. Thus, the details didn't matter too much. I used the same strat for filling in areas as I've been using, aka outlining and then using the bucket tool. It didn't work out when I tried to add the lighter part of Hootie's body. It kept coloring in the whole body instead. I thought at first it was because the colors were too close to one another, so I tried to make the highlight of the body in a crazy green color. But that didn't work out either. Eventually, I realized I needed to put it on a separate layer in order to get the bucket tool to behave. Instead of redoing it on a separate layer, I thought it would be simpler and easier to copy the layer, then cut out each part so they were on separate layers. Why did I do this? Beats me? I think this mistake probably comes from being a beginner artist and getting too attached to certain lines, instead of just trusting that I can make the same lines again or even better lines. I did my best to color match for the rest of Hootie. Finally, I decided to outline the bottom area. Next, we move on to Lilith. Getting her head shape correct was pretty difficult for me. Instead of making it the correct size compared to Hootie, I decided to just resize her later. I did forget to resize her, but they're standing in a void anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I roughly placed in her facial features, trying to make sure my head shape was decent. I still don't think it's exact, but it's recognizable as Lilith, so once again, it gets the job done. I really struggled with the hair shape. Maybe it's because the head shape was off, but I do remember having to call it a day at one point because the hair was frustrating me so much. For the hairpiece on the other side of her face, drawing it just wasn't working out for me, so I ended up duplicating the hairpiece and then mirroring it to the other side. I did my best to copy the body, trying to get the simple shapes into the correct areas. I have to say I'm not proud of the gem/stone on her chest. It was sort of hard for me to comprehend the shape from the reference. I do end up tweaking it when we get to the coloring stage. Once I finished outlining the body, I moved on to her face. Because I messed up with the line weight on Hootie and I know this time it will be more clear, I tried to pay close attention to it. Hopefully you can agree that I get it mostly right. The eyes were an interesting part. For the second eye, I used the same strat as the hair via copying and pasting, and then warped it to make sense for the side of her face. I filled in the rest of her facial features and slightly adjust them here and there. I started with the eyes for color because I was most excited to do those. I really like her eye color. I actually love all the colors of her character. They just seem so soothing and it feels like they all belong together. I made sure to give her skin color, even though it looks white, it's still not as white as the background, so I thought it was important to fill in. I got a bit lost because its color is close to the background, but I made it through. I ended up with some white spots while using the bucket tool this time. I'm not sure why, but I go around making sure to fill them in. I originally tried to color the reference shadow, but it kept feeling off, so I went back to using the opacity route from earlier. Last but not least, I fill in the gem with its different colors. I really think the colors help me better understand the shape. I got lazy and just duplicated Lilith and then adjusted her outfit and eye to fit her second season look. I had to recolor one of her eyes, then I adjusted her shoulders as she doesn't have her puffy sleeves anymore. I was going to add in the battery on her shirt, but it was near the cutoff area, and when I thought about it, the option with less work won. I had to add in the color of her skin for her top half, then all that was left was to color in the shirt. To add the effect of being excited, I added motion blur and just copied Hootie down to the bottom panel. Last but certainly not least, I signed it and called it a day. Because Pinterest doesn't really have a reply button, I ended up just posting this work in the comment section. Hopefully the person who made it likes it. A lesson. I also learned a lesson that I want to save future artists from learning the hard way. I figured out why artists don't typically use time lapses when drawing on their PC. Boom. So instead of storing 9,000 high quality JPEGs, I think I'm going to start just recording my screen. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I literally ran out of storage space on my PC from all the photos, so I'm going to be messing with how I record time lapses. If you have any advice or knowledge, please feel free to share. I hope you guys are patient with me while I figure this stuff out. I'm going to post these on all the socials I'm currently using. Links will be in the description below if you're interested, because I took way too long on these for me not to. And that's all I got for this video. If you guys like this thing, then please leave a like. It really helps me figure out what kind of content you want to see. Maybe in future videos, if this ends up being a series or something where I do meme redraws or make people's fan art dreams come true, I'll focus on one fandom in particular, or maybe a character. I'm not sure what I'll do, as this was my first one, so I'm still figuring things out. If you have any thoughts, commenting them down below is the best way for me to know them. I appreciate you all for watching. Bye bye for now, and I love you lots. Ooh, that Kit Kat smells good. To add the effect of being excited, I added motion blur and just copied Hootie down. Hottie? And just copied Hottie down.